Black Lightning was a savior who kept our streets and our schools safe.
Last year, fans of Black Lightning were surprised to hear that their favorite show had indeed been renewed by the CW for a fourth and final season, making 2020 at least tolerable in the grander scheme of things. And ever since the anticipated season released a few days ago, fans have been wondering how this leg of the Arrowverse is going to end up. So what can we expect from Season 4 of Black Lightning, and how is this going to change the universe of our favorite CW superheroes for the better? Well, whether you're a fan of Black Lightning or just want to know how this fourth and final season of the show will change things forever, stay right where you are, as we're about to put on our theorizing caps and take a few shots at what viewers can expect to see in the upcoming episodes. So strap yourselves in and get ready for a bumpy ride. The character of Black Lightning. Fans of the Black Lightning television show will know Jefferson Pierce quite well by having seen 3 full seasons of seeing him in action as Black Lightning. But what they might not know is that, like other superheroes from the CW's Arrowverse, Black Lightning was created by DC Comics during the Bronze Age of comic books back in April of 1977, first appearing in Black Lightning issue number 1. The character has had his origin story retconned more than a few times within the extended universe, but regardless of how many changes have been made to him, Jefferson Pierce remains one of the most important characters in DC's own comic verse. And it's not just because of what the character stands for within the pages of these books, but what he meant to readers outside of these pages. He was essentially the first African-American superhero to get his own series in DC Comics after all. So it was left up to Tony Isabella to create Black Lightning in a way that the African-American reader would appreciate, giving them the opportunity to also see someone such as themselves represented in the pages of their favorite stories. Fans of the Marvel comic verse will probably recognize him as being the main writer and creator behind another monumental African-American character, Luke Cage, who, like Jefferson Pierce, is seen as the savior of the neighborhood he calls home. To reach the often excluded group of African-American readers, Isabella made sure to set both of these heroes in slums of their own to show that your setting doesn't determine who you are and what you can do, making the message one of hope and love for family and friends. And it's for this reason that we find Black Lightning protecting the streets of the Suicide Slums, as the area is called in the comics, which can be found just outside of Superman's own city of Metropolis. Starting out as nothing more than a school teacher with a heart of gold, Jefferson Pierce does everything he can do to protect his students from the outside world and make sure that they succeed regardless of their circumstances. But sometimes hope and education just aren't enough to overcome these circumstances, which is why he decides to make use of a technological belt that allows him to control electricity, to fight crime, and clean up the neighborhood for everyone to enjoy without feeling threatened. And once he becomes Black Lightning through the use of this power, there's no stopping the man. It must, however, be said that the CW made some changes to the franchise which ensured that Jefferson would be brought into the modern day without losing too much of what he represents. This is why Season 1 of Black Lightning introduced viewers to the character of Jefferson Pierce only after he had made the decision to leave his life of crime fighting behind so he could instead concentrate on his family. But after becoming the principal of the high school he had previously taught at, he discovers that the streets are worse than ever, and he finds that Black Lightning needs to show up once more to clean up the neighborhood that he loves so much. The release of Season 4. Since Season 4 of Black Lightning premiered on the CW on the 8th of this month, with only 2 episodes having made their way onto the cable network to date, it must be said that anticipation for the remainder of the season has never been higher. You can catch a new episode on the CW every Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. But if you don't have access to the network, you might have to wait for Netflix to secure the rights of this 4th season. And since there are already talks of this happening, we might not have to wait long. That being said, if you've grown tired of waiting, you can always make use of the free Fubo TV trial going around, which makes the CW available for the duration of the trial. Just be sure to set your calendar for when payment is needed and take the necessary steps to keep this process free. Recapping the Season 3 finale. To really take heed of what we can expect from the rest of Season 4 of the Black Lightning franchise, it might be best to remind ourselves of what took place in Season 3 finale of last year. Starting off with Gravedigger using his powers of strength, agility, and meta boosting to microwave Jefferson from the inside out, the supervillain ordered his minions to take the knocked out Jessica to a meta dampening cell where she would be unable to cause any more trouble. He then went off to the pit, easily pushing his way through Erica, Gardner, and a couple of the Freelanders to make his way inside the facility. While all of this was happening, viewers watched in awe as Lala became a hero of the neighborhood by ordering his gang to help Detective Henderson and the rest of the police department in defeating the invading Markovian soldiers. This gave Black Lightning the gap he needed to rescue Jennifer from the cell she was being kept in, but also found him within the crosshairs of a Markovian soldier who was promptly shot just in time by Henderson. But unfortunately for her, the rest of the Markovians took this as a threat and fired upon the detective, resulting in her slowly dying in the arms of Black Lightning. A few heartbreaking moments later, and Gravedigger was shown inside the pit, facing off against Thunder. At the same time, Grace was ordered by the supervillain to kill her girlfriend. After Thunder was defeated, both Lightning and Geo showed up, combining their powers to create a new one that rained down in the form of volcanic lightning. But not even this power was enough to bring the boosted Gravedigger to his knees. The time had finally come for Black Lightning to fight against the supervillain in a last-ditch effort to stop him. But Jefferson Pierce couldn't do much against his boosted strength. Luckily, Lynn showed up seconds later and shot the villainous man with anti-boosters, making Gravedigger significantly weaker and allowing Black Lightning to knock him out once and for all. With the pit set to self-destruct and not much time left to save Gravedigger, both Jefferson and Lynn flew out of the facility before it was blown to pieces, with the supervillain still inside. But after the heroes could be seen leaving the Congress after exposing the experiments that had been performed on Freelanders, a pasty man looked on and turned out to be the powered-up Gravedigger, now with shape-shifting abilities. What we've already seen in Season 4. As we said earlier, Season 4 of Black Lightning premiered only this month, with the showrunners having already released 2 whole episodes to date. So, to those of you who haven't seen these episodes just yet, be wary that we will be spoiling them next. So if you'd prefer to pause the video and come back when you're all caught up, we won't take it personally. With that being said, let's get right into the first episode of Season 4. It looks as if the season has been titled The Book of Reconstruction, with Episode 1 and 2 being named Chapter 1 and 2 respectively. The question that remains here is thus, what on earth is being reconstructed? As surely that is the focus of the season itself. Well, if that is indeed the case, we might have an answer regarding what we can expect later on, but more about that later. Episode 1 of the 4th season introduces us to the neighborhood after the effects of Season 3 finale, where Jefferson is still clearly mourning the loss of his dear friend, Detective Henderson. Feeling alone with nobody to turn to on account of him losing touch with Lynn after what she had done in Season 3, we come to notice that Jefferson is no longer the calm and collected hero we have come to admire. After seeing a black teenager being hassled by 2 white officers on the street, Jefferson practically loses it when he intervenes, using his powers over electricity to shock the officers and disable their vehicle. He then drives away with nothing but rage and anger in his heart. The second episode focuses on Lynn finally noticing that Jefferson isn't coping with the after effects of the 3rd season, and has her seeing that his actions qualify as something more than just acting out at the loss of his friend. We also discover that the war between the 100 and Cobra Cartel is reaching its highest crescendo, calling Black Lightning back to protect the streets of his neighborhood once more. But as we're all well aware, Jefferson is not exactly in the right mindset to be the hero everyone needs him to be. He is essentially one bad day away from becoming the supervillain he has fought so hard to defeat. Our expectations for the rest of the Black Lightning Season 4. There's no doubt that the true villain of this season, or at least its first half, is the self-doubt and guilt that Jefferson feels for not being able to save Henderson from being shot back in Season 3. It's feelings like these that are causing him to stray farther from his heroic past, ultimately losing the control he holds so dear to his character and using the anger and rage we've seen villains pull from time and time again. We also know from a tagline connected to the 3rd episode that Jefferson will be experiencing a frustrating therapy session where these feelings will probably be brought to the fore. What Jefferson will need is his family and friends to help him back from this point of no return and remind him who he is, and how many people he has saved over the years. And when Black Lightning is back once again, we should more than expect Gravedigger to show up once more, causing Jefferson to try his hardest to defeat the supervillain without drawing from the cycle of anger and rage he fell into previously because of the events of before. This would not only cause Black Lightning to defeat the supervillain once and for all, but defeat his own inner demons in the process, closing off his character arc once and for all. So what do you think of Jefferson's journey and how it's going to end? Let us know in the comment section down below.